Good morning. This is Janine Bolin, and it's Open Friday Coffee. And we are so happy to have everybody here with us today. And thank you so much for joining us. Grab your beverage of choice. For me, it's always coffee, but for you, it may be something else, tea, yeah, whatever it is. We want to say thank you to the folks who are showing up with us today. And we're going to have some really cool stuff. As you know, Open Friday Coffee started because I have 93 online courses. Actually, I think I'm technically up to 112, but pick nits, pshaw. But I have over 1,000 students, and this is open office hours for them. People like it because they get a little training, get a little taste of what kind of courses that I have. You will notice that I have two lovely assistants. I have Lynette Newman. If you have ever reached out to me on LinkedIn, you have met Lynette. If you reached out to me on Facebook, you have met Lynette. She is the one that responds to why I despise social media. Thank you, Lynette, for being my person. I really appreciate that very much. On the other side, you'll also see Sean Bolin. Yes, we do practice nepotism in my corporation. He is not only my eldest son, but he's the one that will be running with Lynette in chat because both of them have told me, Janine, sometimes you go a little too fast and we need two people throwing the links up in the chat because you're rolling. So these are my wonderful team members, and Tasha Wilmore will be coming on in a little bit, or she may just be so nice as to uncloak herself. Now it depends on where she is, but anyhow, hey, there's Tasha. This is the woman with the plan. She is my right-hand man, as they say. Good morning. If you don't mind unmuting yourself real fast.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, everyone.
And Tasha is the one that she sends out all the emails. If you've been invited, several of you got a separate email that came from Tasha. Many of you already know her, but I just wanted to be able to have her kind of sign up and be a part of what's happening today. Tasha, I know you have to go really quickly. And so we are known for doing our 1-minute tips. And we have 1-minute tips that all of these wonderful people that represent my brain trust, because everybody comes to Open Friday Coffee. They have experience, they have wisdom, and I know you need to pop off, Tasha. So one of the things we talked about is like, I really, when I recommend Tasha to people as my virtual assistant, I call her my executive assistant, but she's my super duper helper. And one of the things that she talks about is like, people have these expectations of virtual assistants that are kind of out there. So give us some of the tips of what people should be thinking about before they hire their virtual assistant. Thanks, Tasha.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem. I just want to touch on three tips I think would be very good to be prepared for or to think about before you do reach out to a VA that may help with conversations and expectations. One of the first things I would like to mention is to kind of have an idea. If you can create a list, great, even better. Have a list of the type of tasks that you would like for a VA to do. And I just want to also mention that, having a virtual assistant doesn't mean you have to load up their calendar or you have a need for a bunch of items that need to be done. Sometimes it's just simple projects. You just may need help with one project or a couple of projects or sporadic projects. And that's totally okay. There are a lot of VAs out there who are willing to work on projects on a project, case or basis. So just kind of, if you can, think about what you would like to delegate to your VA, what type of tasks, and roughly how long it will take for them to complete X task. A good starting point for that is to kind of check yourself, see how long it's taking you to complete those tasks. And a good VA should honestly take less time than what it takes you, honestly, to complete that task, provided that they have the skill set for it. And the third tip that I would like to give is to make sure that you have an idea what your budget is, because that's going to be super important. Depending on the cost, you may have to start out with delegating small projects, depending on what the VA pay structure is, what they charge per task or per assignment or per hour, whatever. Each VA have their own kind of setup with their business on how they bill. But it would be good to know what your budget is when you're going in before you even speak to a VA. I would suggest doing all three of these things. So think about the tasks that you would like to delegate. Create a list if you can. That'll help you be even more helpful because 9 times out of 10 that VA is going to ask you, and also have a rough idea on how long it would take for that VA to complete those tasks. You can pretty much start with gauging from how long it takes you to work on each of those tasks. And then three, make sure that you have some type of budget in mind, to make sure this is actually going to work, or it also give you an idea of how many VAs you'll have to interview if their price point is a little higher than what you're willing to spend. So those are just three quick tips that I wanted to share with you guys when you are considering using a VA.
And before you go, I just want to talk a little bit about my journey and what it was like with Tasha. My father had recently passed, and I was in an absolute turmoil. I had my courses were kind of all rolling, and yet here I had to go and take care of the funeral of my dad, and it was just kind of a nightmare of a situation. And she reaches out to me, and I'm like, I didn't even know if my cash flow was going to be enough to be able to support having a VA. And so I told her that. And so we worked out a deal where she said, all right, 40 hours, Janine. This is how much it's going to cost you for 40 hours. And I went, done. Let me know when we're coming close to running out. And that's when my business, I talk about when my business tripled. My business tripled when I started sending out cards and when I hired Tasha. Okay, so that's kind of my own personal journey, and I recommend her to anybody. I recommend that you go to helpondeck.net, and check out what she does. She has a wonderful team, and that was the other thing I needed. I needed somebody who had a team. I didn't want just a single person. I wanted somebody that in case something happened to them, they had another person that could back them up. And so that's why I have a team of people that support me. So I highly, highly recommend that. Thanks so much, Tasha. I know you got to go. Go ahead, put your stuff in the chat if you don't mind. Okay.
Okay,
All
thank you.
right.
Thank you, ladies.
Wonderful to have everybody. Thank you so much for being here. And just real quick, I had a couple of students that had questions. And so forgive me, I'm going to have the slide deck. If you want to fast forward through this, it's up to you. But some people watch this afterwards. We're going to do the basic business building. I have a lot of people who do send out cards with me, and they are starting to go online with their send out cards, and I'm going to help them out with that. We also have the Build Your Business Boot Camp. And so this came from, these two things came from Stephanie and Susan. And so here you go, guys. It's all about time management. Everybody is really stressed about time, and they've heard a lot of stuff, but they really want to implement practical tips. So that's what we're going to talk about. You guys know about my perfect week that I have talked about on many, many occasions, where you have a defined vision of what you want your life to look like. What is the lifestyle that you're after? So what do you want your life to look like? And once you have that, then you can set some goals or targets. I prefer the term targets, but everybody uses goals. I set targets for how I want to gently change. And I don't change like flip a switch. I know my life has momentum and it's moving in a direction already. And that if I try to just flip a switch, I'm going to fail. I need to gently move myself toward it. So that's why I like Target, because it's like a dartboard. I'm slowly throwing those darts and moving myself closer to center to my goal rather than trying to do it immediately. Okay. So that's just some metaphor to help you guys out. The other thing is I have my perfect week, and I do a weekly review. And of course, this is all tongue in cheek. There's no week that's perfect, but it's perfect for me every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. I have a perfect week planned out. And then the joke used to be, and then the first child wakes up and lets me know how we're going to be altering my day. All right. So his big thing is just sit down with your calendar and take a look at your week. I choose Sundays. Some people prefer Mondays. It's up to you. Make sure you spend an hour just doing this. I have it down now to where I can do this in 6 or 7 minutes.
Hey,
But
Janine,
yeah.
I have a sign, a door sign that speaks to what you just said
Oh,
about
really?
your
Well, talk
week.
to us, Paul. What does it say?
It says, "We make plans, God laughs.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Precisely, though. Thank you so much, Paul. And we're going to introduce Paul here in a little bit because he's somebody that is one of the 99 authors that was a part of the book Published Profitability. He's one of our authors. This is what the downloadable looks like. We're going to pop that into the chat. Thank you, Lynette. We're going to pop this into the chat. So just make a copy of it. For those of you who don't use Google Docs very often, go into the top upper left-hand corner and make a copy of it, and you'll be able to edit it online. Or you can be old school like I am. I print this sucker out, and that way I have it pinned up where I can see it. I just need three-dimensional stuff sometimes. Just remember that when it comes to send out cards or your business, whatever it is you're doing, what you are doing, what you are creating for yourself are habits that are good habits. So often people are talking about making change because they're trying to alter negative habits or what they perceive to be negativity in their life. What I am like, you're moving toward a positive life. This is where you really want to change your mindset. I am moving in a positive direction. I am going into a place I haven't gone before. I may stumble. I'll have speed bumps. I'll have situations that work on that. But it all comes down to the choices that I'm making. And we talked about this last week. The choices that we make, we talked really quickly about the Eisenhower decision matrix. You can go look at the next previous Open Friday Coffee if you want to see more about this. It's how to make decisions quickly so that you can move on. The 4-week system you know about, prospecting, follow-up, connecting, and train yourself 1 hour a week. This is why I do Open Friday Coffees, is that you can come get a little bit of training each week, ask questions, we'll help you with that. It's so important that when you're running a business that you measure your progress. The thing is no matter what project you happen to be working on or whatever habit you happen to be working on, make sure that you have step-by-step kind of progress markers instead of, I'm going to lose 50 pounds in the next 15 months or something like that. And all of a sudden, you don't really measure your progress on it. You just have an end goal. It's important that you do what they call KPIs, key performance indicators. This is very big in business. And for those of you who've worked in corporate, you know that. How are you tracking your progress? This is something that is helpful that you do on your Sunday sit downs. Now, last week, we already talked about who do you already know? We have a downloadable for this, and Lynette, that's also in the links about who do I already know, who are your contacts. And so now to answer Susan and Cheryl's training, whenever you are doing Zoom anything and you know that you're going to be on Zoom every week with a certain person, do not rely on email services for your Zoom link, especially repetitive meetings. Make sure you book them and put them in your calendar. If you do not know how to use Google Calendar and set this up for repetitive meetings, I will be glad to go over that next week. But I really recommend that you put any meetings in your calendar. Do not rely on email. Okay, because email, there's too much quirkiness happening in the world today with technology. I I will be honest. Okay, last week I sent out 3,127 emails. I was doing a book launch, and it was amazing to me the number of people that didn't receive it, never heard of it, that sort of thing. Things were bouncing back. It was kind of crazy, all the stuff that we experienced. So just wanted to let you know, do not rely on email with your repetitive meetings. For Cheryl, it's time for us to answer some personal questions here. When it comes to the business that you are building, the idea that you had, you already know your why. You know why you're in business. You have a problem that you know you're going to solve. But before you start really working on the business side of it, we've got to talk about your lifestyle. It is very important that you build your lifestyle first and then fit your business into those cracks. So you want to know, when are you going on vacation this year? And if you say, like that, I'm like, immediately put a vacation down. I don't care if you're a startup. I mean, we all have heard about people who were successful, how they were sleeping, like Elon Musk talks about when he was at Tesla, he was sleeping under his desk. Had all kinds of problems building out that car. He didn't take a vacation for I don't know how long. But just realize that for your business, you're working full time and you're building this business on the side. You've got to make sure you take vacation on that. Also, with that, make sure that you do a business retreat once every quarter. I do this. I go out once every 3 months and I take a weekend and I'm just going to focus on my business. So make sure you take your business retreat. You're working on your business, but you're making sure you're in alignment with your vision. You're working on it. So I take those 4 times a year, right? Also, you want to build out what your income plan is going to be. We'll talk about most valuable product or minimum viable product that MVPs talk about how you're going to build out income. And as you know about me, because we already talked about this, I wait until the first person has purchased from me, then I build. I don't build and then sell. I build after I have proof of concept that somebody's going to buy that particular product from me. And then make sure you build out your lifestyle plan. So these are the 4 things that I think are most important before you ever start promoting a business. Now, here's some free stuff. I mentioned it last week, but we're going to mention it again. Lynette, if you'll be kind enough to put that in the link in the chat about free stuff. When it comes to conversations with people, I am noticing more and more that most conversations from my business people are all transactional. They have something they need, blah, blah, blah. They're trying to sell me something. It's buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. You want to stand out to where somebody will buy your stuff? You want to stand out on that phone call or that Zoom meeting? Don't sell. Ask them how their life is. Take notes. Find out if their dog just died. Find out if they just lost their housekeeper. Talk to them about them as a human being. And it is amazing how you will get much more traction and you'll have a long term client. I don't want customers. I want long term clients. I want people who come back year after year after year asking me to help them with solving whatever their problem is. That's where my mindset is because I will be working till the day I die, but I'm going to be working my way. So this is the link you can go to, JanineBolin.com/LinkedIn. Go ahead and ignore that short little $37 course. Just keep scrolling down and you'll see the free videos that are available there on there. Okay. Also, I wanted to remind you, please spend an hour a week where all you do is call people. And that means pick up the telephone. Now, some people say, oh, that's so rude. I would never call them. Most people allow it to go to voicemail. It's okay. What you do is you call them up, leave a voicemail, say, hey, I was thinking about you. I'd like your address. I want to send you a card. And then you go ahead. And then when you text them, you say, left you a voicemail, need your address. And then they can choose whether or not they listen to their voicemail or what have you. Okay. So one of those things that some people are like, oh, it's rude to do this, or oh, people don't like that, or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, how do you know? I haven't had a person yet tell me, Janine, stop leaving me voicemails. You know what they say? Oh, it's so nice to hear your voice. I rarely get voicemail. Okay. So it just depends on your people, your demographic. Make sure that you establish in your calendar 1 hour a week where you're doing nothing but picking up the phone and calling people. All right. You're doing that. And then also make sure that you're spending an hour a week following up with the people that you contacted 2 weeks ago. Make sure you start setting this stuff up in your calendar. You have it on your master contact list. You know, I don't care what you're using, but you're asking for addresses. You're putting them into your send out card, and then you're sending them a card. And that's the other thing. Every time you finish hanging up the phone or you finish talking to somebody on Zoom, send them a card. I used to write handwritten cards. That became a little hard for me the more I got to know people. So I stopped doing that. Uh, just realize send something in the mail, whether it is a sheet of paper, and I will show you some of the sheets of paper I've used in the past. But even if it's just a sheet of paper with a quick handwritten note, it means the world to people. Okay, so what are your next steps? Your next steps are, this is the freebie thing. You can go to the Thriving Solopreneur podcast and listen to other business tips that I have on that. Also, I have people that have started asking, Janine, I really want to start growing my business. So I am initiating Wednesday workshops. Wednesday workshops, you can come, you can learn how to do a workshop. I'll answer questions from my business boot camp. I'll also answer questions or build out. A lot of times I'm building out my workshops at this time. And I thought, why am I doing this in a vacuum? I'm just going to start inviting people as I build out workshops. This is a $37 a month program. You can quit anytime, yet you will also then have access to all the workshops I do starting April 17th. Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. I appreciate you. And then I also promised you, hang on, let me change this. I also promised you that I would show you the type of massively awesome paperwork that I have in my world. When I would send out particular cards or what have you, I would use this, you know, those cute little yellow pads here. Yeah, I would have this folded in half and throw it in an envelope and send it to people and say, "Hey, I'm thinking of you," or "Hey, what's going on with so and so?" It is ever so much more powerful than an email. Okay. It really is touching people in such a novel way. I had a 19-year-old young man, student of mine, contact me and go, "Oh my God, it's the first piece of mail I've had since I left home." Okay. So it's very, send something to people. Okay. All right. We're going to go ahead and open it up. Are there any questions, comments, suggestions? Jeff, I think you had your hand up a while back, but I had to chat.
All right.
Everybody throws.
That was a thing at Michael Whitehouse's JV Connect this week. Everybody's like, "Where'd you get the sign? I want the sign." I wanted to introduce my new friend Christine to the group. So no rush, but whenever you're ready. I met her through Michael Whitehouse, and I told her she had to come and meet this crazy group.
Excellent. Yeah, and of course, this is the one week where I had several questions and I'm running through a slide deck. Normally, we just have goof off and have fun, but this week I had a lot of students that were reaching out. So thank you for bringing her. Christine, we definitely will get to you in just a minute. And I'd like to introduce to you some folks that may not have ever met Paul Hood. He is known as the Gentleman Planner, and he is in Published Profitability here. Dun, 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 the author's guide. He is one of our authors. And talk to us a little bit about what you're doing now, Paul.
Well, intentionality is the key today for me because I was never that way before. I mean, I always did a lot, but I didn't know where I was going. I was going fast, but not sure where I was going. And I think Yogi Berra had a couple of great lines about that. But about a week ago, somebody was talking to me about what I did, and they said, "What is your mission statement?" And I didn't have one until I said this: dedicated to saving the world one family at a time. And I added it to my website. And there have been some really transformational things happening for me the last 10 days or so. And I think it all stems from and flows out of that intentionality. So that's it. Other than that, I'm just a recovering tax lawyer from Dixie.
And because I'm from Southern Missouri, Paul and I get along just fine. So, Paul, tell us a little bit. How many books have you written now?
9.
Yeah, you've written 9 books. And so, what was the one about estate planning? I can't remember. There's one that you spent specifically for families. Do you mind sharing that title, please?
Yeah, in fact, it's being made into an audiobook now.
Oh, good.
Most of my books until about 3 years ago, 2021, were for the professional tax, charitable, and estate planning audience. Lawyers, CPAs, bank trust officers, life insurance people, wealth management, that type. Well, in 2021, I wrote my first book that is very helpful to the professional audience, but it's really for the layman too. And that was Buy Sell Agreements, the last will and testament for your business.
I love that title, by the way.
But in 2022, the book that's being made into an audiobook, and the book to which Janine was referring, is Yours, Mine, and Ours: Estate Planning for People in Blended or Step Families. And both of those books have been phenomenally received. I mean, I got a couple of reviews, Kirkus reviews, Janine, that I actually blushed. at how good they were. Like, they can't be talking about me
Right.
because in an independent review, I mean, you're out there, your head's on the block, and it's like a Caesar up in the stands at the Coliseum with the thumbs up or
Up.
the thumbs down.
Exactly.
And I've
Exactly.
gotten just nothing but double thumbs ups.
Hmm.
And it's nice when you're getting them from people who have every right to go thumbs down. So that's what I write about today, is mostly about the human side of estate planning. The tax and legal part, anybody with any reasonable intelligence can do that.
Hmm.
What is more challenging is to help a family with a plan, whether it's a business succession plan or an estate plan, that doesn't harm the family system. And unfortunately, most plans today are being put together by professionals who are tone deaf to the human side. And that's one of the reasons why we're seeing such an increase in contested trusts and estates. Because Mark Twain was right. You never really know someone until you share an inheritance with them.
Exactly. Bravo. And thank you, because he was from Hannibal, Missouri. I'll let you know. Yes, he was. Thank you for honoring my state.
Hey, believe it or not, he introduced a very young Winston Churchill, obviously not Sir yet, who'd become famous before he was 27. And he came to the States to speak at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York, um, where I've spoken many times. Um, but Mark Twain introduced Winston Churchill at that talk. So
That is always cool. And that's one of the neat things. I highly recommend that you get on a call with Paul, whether you need his services right now or not. I highly recommend that you network with him because of his dedication to people. And you know how I started out with money, it's not just for rich people. That was the very first book I wrote, and I was teaching math and physics. Like, I wasn't even in the financial industry. But when I run into authentic, honorable men like Paul, I'm like, look, these are people that you definitely need to know, especially when you start getting to that area of life where you may need to think about sharing inheritances with people. You definitely. So, Paul, if you would put your LinkedIn link in the chat, or a calendar link or something like that, would you do
I,
that for
I
me, please?
will, Janine, and I will tell you that I believe, because I had three tremendous mentors and people who trained me, I know what I know today because of them.
Mhm.
Um, and those formative 7 years, well, actually only 4 years,
Mhm.
because I went to another firm and then I was the boss.
Right.
Um,
And there you are with your head
but
back on the chopping block.
that's right. But what I was going to tell you was, I believe that I was blessed, so I give back, and I mentor about a dozen lawyers across the country, several of whom are older than me, and I'm older than dirt. So that's old. But we'll do, most of them do a 30-minute call every month. And this is all gratis. And then I also mentor a Christian a singer with a YouTube channel who lives in Kerala, India.
Thank you so much, Paul. You know what, I really appreciate you coming on. It's been too long. I'm so glad that you decided to join the party. Have a great day, and also make sure you put your stuff in the chat. Nancy, you've been very patient. Thank you for waiting, but this is one of the things. Sometimes you just need to slow down and enjoy what's happening here and now. And this is a Good Friday, and thank you very much for being with us on your Good Friday.
Thank you. And I want to tell you, I'm so inspired by your website, which is probably an early website for you, the JanineBoland.com, which has
Yeah.
it's like it has all of what you're talking about today in it.
Thank
And
you.
I'm thinking, I want to create a site like this for my business.
Mhm.
And so I'd like to know where you began, and if you were to do it over again, what would you do differently?
Okay. I began because I didn't want to spend $3,500 on a site. And that was the lowest price I could find. I found $1,000 sites, and they basically made a landing page for you. It was a long scrollable thing. JanineBolin.com was started in 2016. So it is ancient. It needs to be updated. But what I did was I sat in the mind of who who is going to hit this site. And I knew it would only be people who knew me, because Google wasn't what it is today. Like today, we've always had SEO, but like it's totally different from so I set my website up for my visitor. I am not setting my website up for SEO, even though Nancy, by the way, is an SEO expert and she's a website expert. But what she's learning is mindset, which, by the way, stay tuned. We have Mark Mathis with us. He is the Reset It coach. You want to make sure you listen to him too. But anyway, Nancy, back to your question. I knew the people that were going to hit my site were two types of people. The first one were going to be people who wanted to join my send out cards team. I knew they were going to be hitting the site because I told them, this is where you go, this is where you learn, blah, blah, blah. The second one was going to be, that was where the book, The Thriving Solopreneur, was going to be posted. And so I knew they were going to be small business, bootstrapping businesses, because I attract those kind of people. And that's my demographic. So if you if you do not have employees, and you are using your social security number for your business, or you've just started an LLC, but you're a sole proprietorship, I'm your gal. Okay. And so those were the people I knew that were coming up. I also knew they didn't want a lot of fluff. They wanted practical tips. They wanted it now. And by golly, that's why we have all of the videos and everything. I give them videos because that way they can be working on their emails while they're listening to me on a video. They don't have to read my stuff. So I was always thinking about where they were. What do I do? And I set it up like, Nancy, you know this. Just set it up the way you like to learn, because you're going to attract those kind of people. So I've had more people tell me that they love that site, and the people who don't like my site are the experts. The experts on my site hate it, but my visitors love me. So who am I catering to?
My,
And thank you
it,
for asking, Nancy. That was so sweet of you. Go ahead, Matt.
yeah, it reminds me of like your site is like Rotten Tomatoes, you know,
Yeah.
where people will sit there and your critics will shit on a movie, but people that actually watch it will actually love the movie. So
And to answer your second question, what would I do different? I actually am going through a refresh. We're getting charged now in different ways. And so I'm going to end up having to take all of the websites that I have and shovel them all under the 8 gates. And we're in the process of doing a refresh. And so all of everything that I'm telling you is being put into the 8 gates now, which is the mothership of all the businesses I run. But now they're going to charge me for every single domain and every single subdomain with what we're trying to build with my online course system. And so now we're shoving it all under the 8 gates, which has my SEO experts and my team wanting to cry because they're like, oh my God, we have to do what? I'm like, it's all got to come under the umbrella. And so we are now going through the thousands of redirects to redirect things. So if you find something that's broken, please email me or come to Open Friday Coffee and tell me, because we have thousands of links we're redirecting right now. So thank you. What I would do different is I would have a pop-up on my site that would offer them a free training session with me so they could get to know me. So the pop-up would not be a downloadable. It wouldn't be a digital. It depends on your business. But for me, I want to get in touch with people because, like Paul, I want to save the world one business owner at a time. And so I want to meet people, but that's me. And everybody's like, oh, but what if too many people schedule? I'm like, okay, I don't think you understand how busy people are. Okay, good luck with that, my dear. Let me know how it goes for you. And then, Matt, sorry to make you wait, but things are kind of fun this morning. And happy Good Friday to my Hebrew haha. How you doing?
Hi there, everybody. It's good to see everybody. I was late to the proverbial party because I got stuck on another Zoom, and you like lose time. It's like, and you're like, oh shit, squirrel moment, So
Squirrel.
exactly. And so if I had a dollar for every time that I had a squirrel moment, I'd really be nuts. So
Thank you. Dun, dun. I'm sorry, I don't have the sound effects. Go for it, Matt.
yeah,
What do
actually,
you? What's our?
speaking
Well,
of
let me
that,
explain. Let me explain. 1 minute tech tip. What Matt is, Matt is our 1 minute tech tip guy, and he's the one that started the whole process of we give everybody a minute to give a tip. And don't worry, Christine and Paul and Peter, you will be tagged to give us a 1 minute tip. Now, we once had a 19-year-old guy on here going, "I don't know anything. I don't have a business. I don't know." And we're like, "What have you learned? Just share something that you have learned." And he's like, "Oh, okay. I'm reading this book and I learned blah blah." So that's how intense our 1 minute tips are. Please, Matt, continue.
It's good seeing everybody on here. So, just an interesting video conferencing note. The next Zoom is butter, and I've already had how many people here have used butter but not margarine? Okay, so what is happening is this. Apparently, butter is a better version of Zoom for a number of nuances. I'm not going to get to all of them. You can schedule one-on-one to find out what those are. But I guarantee you, the people at Zoom, and I know you're watching, you bastards, they're listening and they're watching us, and they're saying, well, they're in denial, and they're saying, well, Matt, I can't believe it's not butter, like the commercial from the 90s. Well, guess what? It is butter, and it's not margarine. So that's coming to Windows, Mac, your mobile platforms. If you need help learning how to use butter, because people are switching over to that because of bureaucracy with Zoom, let me know. I'm more than happy to help you out. Also, I'm going to pull a mini rich for right now. The microprocessor, the one we use in most of our modern computers, especially on the Windows side with the x86 architecture, is now 50 years old. So that is a pretty intriguing note there. The next thing is that what was the next thing? I'm having a brain.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there because we're running out of time, and I have people I need to talk to.
Okay.
But one of the things is Matt is on almost every week. Okay, unless he's traveling or something, he's on every week, and this is what we count on him for, is to kind of keep us updated to what's happening in tech, because it's not moving fast or anything, right? And I don't know about anybody else, but I struggle to keep up with this stuff, right? So he comes on and helps us. Matt, I would like you to schedule with me to do a 90-minute workshop on butter and why it's great, and that way you can go into great detail. You missed the part where I was talking about where I'm doing Wednesday workshops. And this is the kind of thing, when you guys have something that you really want to share, we'll do a 90-minute workshop on it. People can come, they can do, and that's what I'm setting it up for on Wednesday. Because I've noticed with the Open Friday coffees, these 1 minute tips, I'm like, I want to dig deeper into that. I'm interested in that. And if I'm interested, then I know other business owners are going to be interested. And so we'll do that. Sound good?
Yeah, so throw your link into our chat. And also, can I at least get the Hebrew haha out this week?
Yes, you may. Thank you, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, so my dad unfortunately passed away when we couldn't remember his blood type. His last words to us were "be positive."
Oh God! Dun, dun, dun. Thank you very much.
Thanks. I'll put my information in the chat. If anybody wants to talk nerdy, or I can help you out in some other way, please let me know. Thanks again, Janine.
No problem. Glad to have you. Okay, guys. So what I am going to do is we're going to do the 1 minute tip, but first we're going to chat with Kristen and Peter. Okay, so Kristen and Peter, we're going to chat with you first, and then we're going to run around, and everybody on here has 1 minute tips. I know it. And we'll call on our branding experts and our website experts and all that good stuff. So starting off with Christine, hi. Thank you for your patience as we work our way through folks. How's it going? And how can Open Friday Coffee help you?
Honestly, I wasn't prepared to ask a question. Pardon my voice. I'm a little under the weather, but I met Jeff at Michael Whitehouse's event, and he was raving about this group and said I would be a perfect fit to show up for it. So I'm here.
Okay.
So just
What do
checking
you
you
do?
out.
What do you do for a living? I mean, do you own a business? Are you an
Yeah.
author? What do you do?
Yeah, so I'm a solopreneur. My business is the Spiritual Women's Academy, and I support spiritual women entrepreneurs in starting their business from the ground up.
Okay, so hang on. All right, you go ahead, take a breath, take a sip. All right, I run the Practical Mystic Show, which is the oldest running podcast that I have right now. We started in 2016. It's the one that got syndicated. I also have a monthly Mystics Mastermind. So let's talk at some point, if you don't mind. Send me an email. Let's figure out what we can do, or you can come next Friday to Open Friday Coffee, and we can talk more about that. Every once in a while, I'll have a student from my mystical class that'll show up and go, I think I'm in the wrong room. I'm like, no, you're in the right room. It's one of my, it's one of the things I do. So
Awesome.
I'm not only a scientist, I'm also a shaman. I work with 16 different Native American tribes. And so
I love
we will
this.
chat. Okay. But
Beautiful.
I also am a radio show host, and I'm also a business owner of a few businesses. So that's why I think, Jeff, thank you for bringing these powerful light workers into my world. Okay, we'll chat with you
Thank
again
you.
then, Christine. Peter Kane, Golfer Pete, it's been a hot minute. What is happening with you? What's going
Yes.
on? Talk to us, my man.
Well, I have a new identity I wanted to share.
A
I've
new
gotten,
identity. Yay, I love
yes,
new
I've changed
identities.
my name to protect my golf reputation. So I'm no longer Golfer Pete, I'm Podcast Pete.
Your
And I'm
podcast,
trying to
Pete.
get convinced. Yeah, my mom's 94, so I'm trying to get her to call me Podcast Pete. So any suggestions, I would love your help. At 94, we're not always thinking of new identities for your kids. So Jeff got me addicted to a drug, but it's not a legal drug,
Oh, it's
illegal
illegal.
drug. Well, it's actually legal. It's the human voice, and it's called podcasting. He told me I would be addicted to it, so I am. It's a lot better than Adderall. It's certainly a lot faster, and I enjoy it a lot more. So I got addicted to. I did StreamYard years ago. So I was on a podcast, and I got kind of a refresher. So now I'm creating content at the speed of my voice, which is good because I can't write, or I don't like to write. So now I just do content fast. And because Jeff hooked me on podcasting, I've got 20 podcasts going on almost simultaneously, and they all have different branding. So thanks to Jeff, he's hooked me on a new drug. He has taught me podcasting, and he's taught me a system. So the guy rocks.
Fabulous. Thank you very much, Pete. And Pete is one of those amazing people who, when I first started working with him, he had a situation that happened with him that totally caused his world to be burnt to ashes. Literally a dragon. I want you to think of a dragon and fire and brimstone, and you're standing there in a field of ashes. That was where Pete was. And to watch him become the phoenix today that he is such an honor and a privilege. Thank you for letting us be a part of your journey. Thank you.
One quick thing, Janine. I called Janine from my bed after a stroke, get on a send out cards training. So do I believe in send out cards? Enough to call her from my bed with half of my body only working.
Yep. But you did it. You were on that training. So that kudos,
yes,
my man.
I know.
Kudos.
I'm still on that train. Yes.
Go ahead, Sean. Talk to us. What's happening?
I had a question to get some links for your podcast. Hold on a second here. It was like your podcast and such. Which of the 80 links and all the links one should I be linking to Miss Christine?
The Janine Boland Show, the YouTube channel, because all of the podcasts are on there. Got it? Does that help?
Yes.
Okay. Literally, we have a spreadsheet that's called all the links. And even with Control F, sometimes they can't find what they need. So I won't show it to you. It's a very scary spreadsheet. Okay. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. Next, we're going to call up James and then Mike. James is one of those amazing website people, one of those experts who does big corporate websites, and yet he's one of those fascinating folks that is also able to talk to the solopreneur, and that's why I like him. He can do the $100 million corporations, thousands of pages catalog websites, but he also can talk to a solopreneur. And he earned my trust the day I said, well, I'm going to be changing the 8 gates, like I told you, refresh, blah, blah, blah. He goes, Janine, you don't need me. You need, and he told me, and I went, thank you. You are now my friend for life because you saved me money. And I just wanted to let you know. So if you need advice, please pay James to go over your website when it's all done and everything. Pay him for that. But he will let you know if his services are appropriate for you or not, and you can trust him. So with that, James, what's your 1-minute tip for today?
Well, my 1-minute tip today is a bit controversial.
Please don't tell me it's political, because then I'll have to mute you.
Nope,
Okay,
it's
all right,
not
fine.
political.
Right.
I want you all to stop saying call to action.
Oh, that one. Okay. No, I'm okay with that one.
Yeah.
I want to go on a journey and I want an experience. I don't want to be called to action. I got more action I can deal with right now. Thank you,
Call to
James. Go
action
ahead.
is a marketer shouting at a customer and telling them what to do. Nobody wants to be shouted at. And this echoes actually what Janine was saying at the beginning when she was talking to Nancy about her website and how user friendly it is. It's the same idea. I just put a different label on it. I want you to start thinking in terms of creating pathways on your website. Pathways that call out to subsegments in your audience and invite them down a road that's going to bring value to them because it recognizes who they are. So stop talking about call to action and start thinking about pathways. Effectively, they're exactly the same thing, but the mindset shift is really, really important.
So please put your LinkedIn in the chat for us, James. And I highly recommend that even if your website is crap, go ahead and hire James to walk you through it. So that way you're not spending time developing sections on your website that are inappropriate. And then after he's coached you on what to do, then hire Nancy. All right. So this is the pathway that is best for solopreneurs. Hire James to tell you what's wrong. Hire Nancy to fix the problem. Then she'll help you with your SEO on your blog posts. Okay, moving on. We have the one, the only Peruvian dude. Okay, this is Mike McQuillan. What is the galaxy behind you?
Well, I don't know which galaxy it is, but they all look the same when you're this far away. I just know I always have this background of, you know what I do. I'm a speaking coach. When I'm in business networking groups, you need to know exactly what I do. But this kind of a meeting is more universal, just understanding. So that's my background for today.
Thank you. You honor me. I appreciate that. You honor the brain trust. And when you honor the brain trust, that makes me happy. Thank you.
Awesome. If I can give my tip for the week. Last week, you brought up a brilliant suggestion about giving a single, a write-up, kind of an entry-level product, just a write-up. We have a talk. I gave you a write-up what your keynote would look like. And what I did is I ran it through another mastermind group. Say, what do you think? It's unbelievable when you look at the difference in the group dynamic. So I ran it by 2 different groups. And one said, oh, interesting, you should look into that. And okay, I guess I need to understand more, kind of a conversation. Another group I ran it by, just, no, all you can see is the heads shaking. No, Mike, no, listen, you really need to, and come on, what's up with your microphone? You're a speaking coach and the microphone you have, and seriously, who's going to want that? It sounds like bait and the switch. It's like, no. And there's a real lesson in number one, play close to the chest. Be careful who you share your ideas with. It's people are going to tear it down. I always say there's the old story about crabs in the barrel. They'll pull you back down into the barrel. But in some of these networking groups I call lobsters in the bathtub, you really don't want to put ideas out there. There's a real reminder of you don't want to just go to every group you possibly can and just be one of these serial pop-ups who are just always there. It's good to have exposure. It's also good to be selective. So it was a great lesson in who not to trust with great ideas and who you can trust. On another note, I piloted it. I gave a write-up to somebody who can't afford me anyway. So I gave him a write-up. He's like, yeah, I'm having a a get together, a potluck for Easter this Sunday. I say, great. Everybody you talk to, talk these bullet points. So once he makes the money, we'll know that it worked. I do appreciate that. There's my tip. As for my ask, I have a new project, and that is NIL, which is name, image, and likeness. If you're familiar with athletics, student athletes can get paid now, whether it's just a personal appearance or modeling some turtle wax. But what they're not getting is public speaking training. You can't expect every student athlete to get a contract with Nike, but there is a market for them to speak. And that's my latest project. It's wide open. There's no competition. So if you know anybody in that space of college athletes or sports agents, I
Okay.
appreciate the connection.
Put your LinkedIn profile, if you don't mind, so people who aren't connected with you can
Certainly.
connect. To me, it's very important that you connect outside of networking groups. And if somebody suggests something or you have an idea for somebody, go ahead and connect with them so that you guys can help each other too. For us, there is so much business that has happened just from our Open Friday coffee and people connecting with one another. Okay, so after my let's see, I want to make sure we get Rich and Jeff and Mark, and we have 9 minutes. So, gentlemen, start your engines, and we'll go with Rich first, our other Hebrew haha, coming to us from the island of Manhattan. What's happening, Rich?
Yo, 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 yo. All right, gang. We're gonna cut it short. We're gonna make it quick. So on this date in history, 1884, Niagara Falls stopped flowing for about 30 to 40 hours because everything got due to an ice jam. It's never happened before. Cool.
Who knew?
2004, Ireland became the first country in the world to ban smoking in all pubs. Ireland, I mean, where they come out of the womb with a cigarette. All right, and it was on this day in 1974 that the famous terracotta army was uncovered in China. So that's pretty cool. Boo-boos, branding boo-boos. A
Right?
company named Juicero. Okay, they raised over 120 millions for their Wi-Fi connected juicing machine. It was proprietary. Only they found out that the juicing stuff could be squeezed by hand, kind of relegating their thing to the dustbin of history. That's why you don't know about this company. Facebook. Do you know Facebook had they launched their own phone in 2013, and it was such a piece of crap that the price went from within 1 month from $99 to 99 cents. And lastly on our list, WeWork.
Yes, we
WeWork.
do. Yeah.
They were a $47 billion valuation and then slid down to $5 billion and then pandemic and then what? That's what I got for you today, folks.
Thank you very much. And if you need any branding, please definitely talk to Rich Beyer. He is the man with the plan. Also, tell us about the car behind you. You always have a new photograph of Manhattan. He just wanders around Manhattan and takes pictures, and it's
I
always
do.
so
It
cool.
was early Monte Carlo first generation. It was just sitting there in the rain, and Monte Carlo was notable because it was Chevrolet's first foray into the personal luxury market.
Yeah.
So
Thank
there
you
you have
very
it,
much.
folks.
Yeah, love it. Also, one of those wonderful things about Rich is he'll text you his trivia point for the day if you ever want to be interested. So definitely reach out to Rich, start a conversation. You just may learn something. Okay, and back up to you, Jeff Bourgeois, the man with the plan. Jeff has been many things, but if you're interested in AI, he is the guy that you want to go to. He is his AI, he builds AIs to build AIs. He has helped me go from writing a book a year, which was a very staid and methodical way that I did things, to I now build books in 12 hours. And he is so good. He can get it down to much shorter than that, like 2 hours. I don't stress myself like that, although it's not stress for him. He has an AI that builds it out and then he reworks it in his own tone. Talk to us a little bit, Jeff. What's happening?
Awesome. Well, good to see everyone. So Janine, I hope your ears were burning on Tuesday and Wednesday, because I was talking about you and this group a lot at Mike's event and Christina Lateth. Fun fact, yesterday I watched a presentation from a world's leading expert at AI, and I was correcting his slides in the chat. Had to. But they showed how to do a book from start to finish in 2 hours and 37 minutes. And I was like, wow, you guys took way too long. Anyway, it was a 20-page book, by the way, which is why I was disturbed.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, you crank out 100, 200-page books.
Yeah. So anyways,
Oh, wow. Okay, and that was the expert. All right.
Yeah. So my tip for this week is to use AI for learning. So what I like to do, I read a book. Let's say, for example, one of my favorites.
Oh, thank you.
I open a chat about it and I share my biggest thoughts, my biggest takeaways. And then I'll ask it, based on what's out there, what are other people's thoughts and takeaways? And then I ask it for action items. And as I apply and learn it, so I have conversations about every book I'm reading so that when I come back later, I don't have to remember, oh, on page 36, Janine said this. I can just say, can you help me revisit the book? So that's my little AI lesson. It's not all about business, but it can be about fun and learning as well.
And just to let you know, Jeff and I do workshops frequently and often together. They're 90 minutes. We help you either solve a problem very specifically, or we educate you in a non-fear-based way about the latest tech and how you can use it. We make it approachable, we make it friendly, because if we're not having fun with our business, why are we in it, right? So for the most part, we want you to be happy and enjoying what you do 90% of the time. There's always that 10% where you just have to slog it out. But, most of the time we want you to be happy and joyful about it. And so one of the working on Wednesdays, we haven't scheduled it yet, but Jeff and I are going to talk about how you use AI, not only to learn, but how you use it in all the areas of your life as that friend. Jeff is a recovering certified public accountant, CPA. We love him anyway. No, joke. And, and one of the things is my CPA was telling me all the things they needed and all the concerns they had about my latest tax report. And I had no idea what he was saying. And I have learned from the CPA that if you ask him another question, he'll go deep dive into the lingo. It won't be educational for me. So I was so grateful for AI, because instead of having to call another friend of mine who's a CPA and pay them $100 to educate me on what my other CPA is saying, I went ahead and went to AI and I said, what is my CPA saying to me? And AI was kind enough to go, this is the concern. This is why. This is how it's going to affect your LLC. This is blah, blah. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, Jeff, this is amazing. So anyway, we're going to do a workshop on that, and also how you can use it to help you. But so many people are using AI for tactical reasons instead of visionary reasons, instead of increasing your lifestyle, instead of making your lifestyle better. And I see a lot of fear being used, and how you need to be avoiding it. Or some people are just like, I don't even want to touch it. It's so complicated. And I'm like, it's not. ChatGPT is a linguistic program that learns, and it's not something to be afraid of. Anyhow, so that is kind of my talk on that. Jeff, anything you want to add before we close out for the day with Mark?
No, let's let Mark take us into Easter.
Okay. For those of you who are Christians, we're moving into the Easter holidays. For my Hebrew ha-has, thank you for that lovely rabbi. And for my Muslim, Buddhist, and Hindus, you guys have your own holidays, and I hope you're having a fabulous time as we celebrate spring and the coming of this new year, which for my Chinese people is the year of the wood dragon. I think we covered everybody. If I have left your particular paradigm out, it is because I'm ignorant. Thank you, Mark. Take us away.
Thanks, Anthony, for having me. I wanted to talk about one thing. Is that I do a lot with the quantum energy field of how we put out there, we receive from other people, and how if we're in a place of presence, how that reacts to other people. I was dealing with some people on the marketing side. My business has grown, and people are trying to sell me things that I don't need. And so it's crazy, but
you're successful when
yeah. So they're reaching out and says, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. So what my message today is to listen to the only person in this world, yourself. Educate yourself, get your stuff done, and you'll see things will happen in a different way for you.
And we're at the top of the hour, and I want to say one shout out to Mark, and that is spend 90 minutes with him. Make sure you connect with him on LinkedIn. He resets your mindset. If you're struggling, you're hitting a wall, do not do that alone. Go to Mark. In 90 minutes, he'll reset you. You'll be ready to rock and roll. Give him that opportunity to help you help yourself so you can keep rolling with your business. Thank you, everyone, for showing up for Open Friday
Janine, I've
Coffee.
got one thing for you.
Yeah.
In the chat, for the marketing guys, there's a new book. Well, new book. There's a book out there, Quantum Marketing. Take a look at it. It is amazing. Take a look.
All right. Quantum Marketing. Thank you so much.
It's beautiful.
All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. Chat with you soon. Thank you for being here today. Talk to you soon.